Welcome back to the Culture Crusade. How are you, John? Good to see you. I do believe LitDev is on his way, and the topics that we really want to dive into today is He-Man, Masters of the Universe, and Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and depending on time and also how I'm coping, we might or might not get to additional topics, because here's the thing. I'm feeling wiped out today. It's one of those fatigue days for me. I'm fighting off something as well, and it's all compounding. But I didn't want to cancel this stream because I really want to talk about He-Man and Knight of the Seven Kingdoms and everything. Now, before we dive completely into the topics, I want to give everyone an update on how Mike is doing, our fellow co-host here on the Culture Crusade. If you missed last week's stream, Mike had a stroke, which just like, holy crap, man. That like came out of nowhere. Really, really sucks. Is not doing that great. The update is that he actually had to go back to hospital either today or yesterday because there were warning signs that he might be getting a second one. But luckily, it seems like that wasn't the case, but still there were warning signs, and it seems like he's in hospital. And Mike, if you're watching this, I don't want him to push himself. He's like, sorry, I can't make the stream this week again. I'm back in hospital. I'm like, Mike, you need to recover, man.
Priorities.
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing but love for Mike. And Mike, if you're watching, I have been and will continue to be praying for you, sir.
Absolutely. And he'll like everyone, if you can offer a prayer, if you have the faith, please do so. If you can send him $1 or $5 to the fundraiser on Give, Send, Go. I'm dropping the link in the chat. Thank you to everyone who has donated. Everything helps, okay? Hospital bills, especially the US, suck. And especially just not only the bills, but the expenses of recovery. Is unable to work at the moment. There he is in the chat. I saw him. Good to hear, man. He's in good spirits, which is great. But the poor guy is going through a tough time still. And so you can donate to his Give, Send, Go campaign, or if you want something extra, you can purchase something from his website, mikesmillerart.com. And he has like original artwork available, like original pages from the Hedge Knight right here. It's available on his webpage. And I mentioned this on the review stream I did with Gary Nerdrotic. And let's just say Gary liked what he saw and he went shopping. So there's some really cool stuff that Mike has on his website. Original art. Let me show you one of them actually, because this is available. This is like available on Mike's website. So if you want a bit of pop culture memorabilia and you help out the guy, you can check his webpage out. Again, even just like $1 or $5 to the Give, Send, Go help. But check this out. This is like original art from the Hedge Knight graphic novel, man. That's cool. That is really, nice. Really cool.
Man is a professional in every sense of the word.
Look, like the hospital bed is the worst part.
Oh, that's no joke, man.
Yeah, they're not the most comfortable. But look, Mike, we're thinking of you. We're praying for you. Really hope you have a speedy recovery. And if anyone could donate anything, it'll be greatly appreciated. And I'll mention the Give, Send, Go again a bit further into the stream. Okay, let's get into one of the main topics. He-Man. So, oh boy. All right. The trailer dropped. The trailer dropped for He-Man. I talked a little bit about it on Friday Night Tights. I want to go deeper into this trailer, because He-Man, oh boy, like I have a soft spot in my heart for He-Man. He-Man was like one of my childhood big heroes. Him and Superman.
Just a little bit of history on my part. Like, I was born in 81, so I was growing up right at the prime age. That He-Man and Optimus Prime, Lino, like those were the childhood. There's a lot of our first heroes growing up. So, I know as far as aging. It's kind of, it depends on how you look at it, but you know, it taught good lessons. It was great sci fantasy, even though if it was, you know, a bit of a Conan the Barbarian ripoff. For what it was, like there was nothing more iconic than him going, "I have the power" with the sword and everything.
Dude.
The kid, you lived for that moment in the show. It's like, oh, He-Man's done showing up. It's about business is about to pick up, as JR we used to say. So yeah, I have a soft. Oh, that's great.
That's one of Mike's works, and that's another one you can buy from his website. Awesome He-Man original art. Right,
like
there.
you, I have a very much a soft spot in my heart for it. I love the 2002 reboot. That was great. I was right
really
there
good
with you when the Kevin Smith version. Oh my gosh, like the first 2/3 of the first episode was like everything you ever wanted it to be, and it just plummeted into the depths of hell from down there. Your rant about why He-Man and heroism was important is probably my favorite video that you've ever done, because I was like, scream it louder, Shad, please. You did it better than I ever could. The importance of heroism. It's when I really started to kind of look at a lot of the gray heroism and things like we've gotten lately, and I just started to go, you know what? Maybe there was a reason some of the we should have, you know, not delved so deeply into gray morality and, you know, anti-heroes, things like that in the 90s. In some ways, it feels like we never really left that. You'll have to excuse me. This hot chocolate is delicious.
Oh no, I am 100% there with you, and thank you for bringing up that video. And so when that He-Man reboot, or it was He-Man Revelations, which is kind of like a sequel thing. I forget the idiot that made it. What's his name? The guy that cries all the time and used to. I forget his name.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name either. He's a meme. He's like me, but you know, he's a meme in the bad way.
Yeah, it'll come to me later. Mike is just saying that He-Man image, that was DC He-Man Splash. His only and DC He-Man Splash. So bit of memorabilia there. But yeah, so when that came out, I was so disgusted with what they're doing, because it was the antithesis of what He-Man's meant to be. It was a complete deconstruction of him and heroism, just spitting on He-Man. It was the Teela show. It was absolute crap. And I made a video on Shadiversity called "Why He-Man is Needed." And if no one has watched that, I encourage you to check it out, because I go into detail why, like, the fundamental building blocks of He-Man is still so important in storytelling in the modern day. And it's like, people say that it's real kiddie and immature and stuff like that. So the storyline of writing is very, very basic, as well as goofy at times. But the building blocks of the character and what he represents and the impact that he can have on young boys is still 100% rock solid and is still needed. Absolutely. Hey, Lit Dev, how are you?
Hello. Finally made it.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking He-Man, but we are going to be going into Night of the Seven Kingdoms as well, sir. And
I'm excited for that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I did that video on why He-Man is needed. That was 4 years ago. And I also did a review of He-Man Revelations, and because that show is like vile what it's done. But it also means, like, I would love a good He-Man adaptation that could renew the property for young boys. I tried to get my boys when they were younger into He-Man, and unfortunately it was just too dated, you know. Like back in the day, that was what we had. We didn't have anime to compare it against, and you know, because My Hero Academia, that can reach some pretty, you know, great animation sequences and stuff. And when they see He-Man, they just couldn't get into it. They did like the transformation sequence, and that was like, I was a bit sad on that, because He-Man is great. When I say is great, right, I'm talking about, again, those core aspects of the character. Because let's reel it back a bit. I want to give people a bit of a foundation of why I think He-Man is important, and then we can go into the trailer and stuff. And so He-Man was unashamedly made to sell toys. And because of that, their approach then was, let's make it as appealing as possible to young boys. They just wanted to make something that young boys would love, that they'll get hooked on it, and they'd buy toys. And so instead of trying to inject feminized messaging and having a problem with toxic, they embraced all the things that little boys love. Let's get this ripped as dude as this power fantasy. And look, let's put him in a loincloth, kind of like Conan the Barbarian. So you see his physique, and the little boys can look at that and say, I would like to be that. And then let's give him a friggin' awesome sword. And then let's
tiger,
a talking tiger,
Castle Grayskull.
Exactly. Like it was all about cool things that are cool, right?
Bad guys a skull face.
Yeah, like the bad guy's gonna have a skull and logical consistency. Forget that. We're going to put in like techno and fantasy and force them together. And it's all about this awesome aesthetic made like intentionally for little boys that would appeal to them. And then there's a good documentary on Netflix called The Toys That Made Us, which that goes into the background of He-Man, and it has the people developing it were talking about how they came up with the catchphrase. And it's simple logic, right? But sometimes catching on a core truth that resonates timelessly doesn't take ingenious to figure out. It's basic stuff. And they were just thinking about, young boys, they're often told no. You have to no this, no that. And look, there are good things to say no to young children. They need to be taught boundaries. But they also thought it'd be really good if we kind of made a theme with this that would feel like it would empower young boys, that it feels like that they could do something. And so that's how they came up with the catchphrase, I have the power. It was specifically made, not necessarily as this world building background to explain where it was for young boys to repeat. And they wanted young boys to kind of latch onto that and think that they could be He-Man. That was the whole concept behind it. And it was made, yes, intentionally, get them attached and interested in the property in this shameless way to just make something that little boys would love. And I think that approach is great. It's actually an approach that we don't see in the modern day, because in the modern day, again, they subvert it. They want to criticize the natural things that young men and young little boys love. Masculinity, right? That's all toxic and problematic, that you would want to grow up to be a hero that's going to save a damsel in distress, because that damsel should be able to save herself. And the mere fact that you would presume that you need to save her is just misogynistic. I hate this.
Well, sometimes she'll save herself. Now you have to figure out, like, if she wants you to save her at that time, or if she wants you to let her save herself, because there's a big difference. And if you save her without kind of reading her mind to see if she wants you to save her at that point, that's misogynistic. But if you don't save her when she wants you to, you're being a neglectful, evil, toxic male.
Exactly. You can't win with this, feminist narrative bullcrap that, that's been going on for the last
they've been subverting that trope for so long. It's become a trope in and of itself. The princess saves herself. It's like, it would honestly, we're starting to come to a place, I think, where the trope kind of inverts now, and doing it straight is actually the subversion. Because guys, in Shrek 1, what she was doing Matrix like karate kicks, and princesses have been saving themselves ever since. Have they been saved at any point in the last 35 years?
That was one of my criticisms of even the Mario film, that they subtly, made sure that Princess Peach would save herself. And
she's not only the classic damsel.
Yeah, right. They subvert the classic damsel in the movie. So not only does Princess Peach save herself, they make the damsel in distress Luigi, and she is the impetus to save Mario, to give him the thing that achieves the ultimate victory. There was a subversive element in the Mario film, where and that was done far more subtly, which is why very few people had a problem with it. They were perfectly fine to just let her kind of go along with it, right? But it's there. It is still there here in the modern day, that they have this aversion and objection to such not only a natural instinct, an important instinct. It is really important that young boys and then young men learn to save the damsel in distress, because in the real world, men are the ones that need to do the saving. Okay. And it's really important to instill this power fantasy to educate young boys and young men about these important concepts of masculinity and duty. And He-Man was built completely and unashamedly on that. And they went further with it with the catchphrase, I have the power, or specifically made to try and get it imprinted on young boys to be like He-Man. And it's this is really important. It's an empowering message. Think about the narrative of the modern day, where they constantly subvert and say all the problems in your life are due to external factors that are outside your control. You are a victim, and every single thing that's wrong in your life is someone else's problem that you need to criticize these problems for and demand reparations for, and all this nonsense from
all that stuff versus I have the power.
Exactly. Like, think about the woke agenda. Every single type of minority that the woke agenda tries to represent is all about a victimhood narrative, taking away people's autonomy and power and blaming every external thing possible. At every end, they want to try and push away the idea of personal autonomy and responsibility, and saying that, no, you have the power in your own life to make it better, to overcome challenges. And so it's the antithesis message to what the core message of He-Man is. It's an empowering, important message that is really beneficial for young boys. And that's why I love He-Man. Okay, it is made unashamedly to appeal to young boys, and it has a core theme to it of empowerment. I have the power. It is great, and it is needed in the modern day now more than ever. And so if a He-Man reboot can be made, even I would love it done perfectly on every level, but if we can even get mostly there, even if the people creating it don't fully understand how to really make He-Man shine, which is by catching on to these core fundamental, building blocks of what makes He-Man work so well. Even if they don't understand, they stumble on it by accident by just saying, let's try and be faithful to what we see in the cartoon, they could still potentially make something passable. I would want it more than passable, but I would love a proper He-Man reboot that embraces the campiness, but there are things that He-Man that can be translated really well in a modern adaptation, like the fantasy tech concept of Eternia, right? With modern, visual effects, that can look friggin' incredible. And we're seeing hints of that in the trailer. Like, they've kind of latched onto some of this techno fantasy stuff, and it's potentially looking really good. The embracing of the original cartoon's design philosophy, there's potential there to make something awesome. And like this whole idea that, a lot of adaptations have had against modern adaptations where they don't embrace the original design philosophy, like never putting Wolverine in his yellow spandex until this last Wolverine Deadpool. It's like,
I can't tell you how much that burned me up.
Yeah, right.
I'm such a stickler for these kind of things, right? Because to me, these kind of things are iconic. I had the same problem with the Transformers movies, where all the robots, almost all of them, look just, big, gray, over-designed blobs. It really didn't hit like those iconic visuals of the original G1 designs. And that the comics and subsequent series have kind of learned from that lesson that, hey, the kids and fans especially kind of latch on to really iconic looking designs. So there's no, it's an example of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Michael Bay, who probably was the right brain person to put on an action adventure series like that. Sorry, I got off on Transformers for a second, but
but your point is
also very wrong in a lot of ways. I would not want him in charge of He-Man after watching what he did with Transformers and Ninja Turtles either. But He-Man's very much similar. A lot of people, I saw a lot of complaints for the trailer, the visual of Man-at-Arms, unfortunately race swapped with an actor I do
about that. Well, yeah,
did not have his fur loincloth, and that was a sticking point for a lot of people on social media.
Yeah, so the original design aesthetic for He-Man worked. Like, if you just have like some core, sometimes it's simple, but it's broken down with very bold colors and a clear silhouette and design. And think about the side characters to He-Man as well. Of course, Man-at-Arms, but then you have all the additional characters, and I forget even a lot of their names. It's all about He-Man, but I know some of the, I remember some of those, like Trapjaw, Evelyn, of course. But Skeletor has such a really clear design aesthetic that is like just a really cool looking villain. There's potential there that if you embrace, right, it'll have that same appeal. Guess what? Young boys, even, you know, in the modern day, young boys now will love what young boys loved, 20 years ago. Okay. There is still that same kind of core appeal aspect to it. And if they embrace it, they can actually latch onto that and get something quite, I reckon, positive and even successful. Now, sorry, what was that?
This is the tablet generation, so everything needs to be a lot faster, a lot higher energy, a lot faster. But you can still give them the same stuff. Is it they don't have the patience for the 70s slow snail animation, where it's just a few frames move?
Man, they reuse so many animation sequences in the old He-Man cartoon, and they cut corners. And look, the actual cartoon now looks very cheap. I can understand why it would be hard for kids to kind of get into that old school cartoon. Back then, we didn't have many choices, not many things to kind of compare against.
We didn't know any better,
Yeah. And like some of those stories in He-Man are goofy and dumb. All right. They could really lift that aspect of the storytelling but then grab what worked really well and then improve on the other things that does need improvement. I rewatched an episode of He-Man, and no joke, there's one part in the episode where he needs to cross a ravine or a gorge. So he ties a rope to his sword, throws it to the other side of the ravine, and pulls them together.
Oh yeah, that's thinking outside the box. There, no one would have thought of it.
I mean, it's like as powerful as a god, he could just jump it without a problem. And it's like
that's some Bugs Bunny logic right there.
It really is. Like the inconsistency in the cartoon is next level. It gets really dumb, but there are underlining aspects that a talented writer could latch onto and get the consistency worked through really well, and then improve on those, with an actual proper fleshed out story, while keeping the better parts of the world building and the core design philosophy aesthetic of He-Man. You could have something kick ass with a remake. There is so much potential with He-Man there, but you need someone who has faith in the original property. It looks like this new He-Man reboot from the trailer, they're embracing the original style. Now, look, it isn't out yet. We do not know what it will be like. I am skeptical, but dare I say cautiously optimistic, because there are some elements of the trailer that I want to go through the trailer on this live stream. There's some elements on it that look pretty damn good, right? And now, warning signs. I don't think the he/him. We'll get to the he/him thing in the trailer. I don't think that's a warning sign. I think that's more of a joke.
Teal pants, Shad. They gave Teal pants.
They gave Teal pants, and I always get annoyed with that because it's just a masculinization of a very feminine kind of outfit.
0 out of 10. It's gonna be a woke, terrible movie, Shad. They gave her pants,
and then they also race swap Man-at-Arms. Now the race swap, okay. I am 100% consistent on my stance, and I've been very clear about it, right? That for me, the important thing about an adaptation is keeping the primary design aesthetic consistent. Now, with Man-at-Arms, his skin color is a lesser part. To me, the big main things about Man-at-Arms is the mustache and the outfit. And look, the outfit isn't perfect. It doesn't have the loincloth, but other aspects are kind of close. The other thing where there might be some potential, right, with maybe pulling off race swap, is if you do find an absolute phenomenal actor for the role that could hit it out of the park. And guess what? They cast Idris Elba, and he's really good.
Idris Elba is pretty good. Like, if anyone is going to do it, if they had to race swap him and get anybody else, Idris Elba is pretty good. I like him a lot in most things he's in. Really good.
He has Idris Elba has a presence, a strength that actually encapsulates Man-at-Arms not bad. Like I can see Idris Elba pull off Man-at-Arms quite well. And because is a side character, it's like, okay, look, maybe I'm being too charitable here, but I've had similar takes in the past with the race swap of the Kingpin in the old school Daredevil. And look, getting Samuel L. Jackson to play Nick Fury, right? He's such a good actor that he really elevated the role. Have any of you here seen
At first, I would say far less lately than before, because man, the last few appearances he's had in the MCU, he's phoned it in. I ain't gonna lie. Like, he hasn't had much of a presence other than the guy that sits in the corner of the room and says, "You need to go do this, Captain America."
Mm-hmm.
So,
have any of you guys seen the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury film?
Man, I saw an ad for that, and I never found it on TV. And no, I never saw it.
That was actually like back in the day when I had cable. That was on like just a Showtime or some weird thing, and I was like, "Is it Nick Fury film?" It was. I know it was not new. It was like one of those film channels that had old repeats and stuff, and I watched it. And look, it's not good. Okay, and Hasselhoff, like. You could say he visually encapsulated the Nick Fury from the comic books more accurately, but Samuel L. Jackson is just a better actor, and he did a better job in performing, Nick Fury. And so sometimes visual accuracy to every single level, right? And I'm being consistent here. In rare cases, I think you can get away with a couple of, minor changes if you can get a kick-ass actor that encapsulate the character perfectly and even potentially elevated. And holy crap, Elba is a really good actor. And so it's one of those rare cases where I'm like, I'm willing to suspend my my normal reaction to stuff like this.
Nerd rage.
My nerd rage, right? And write this film off for being completely, woke agenda driven, because if it was woke agenda driven, I'm not sure they would have done other things that we see in the
like the he him joke and stuff.
Like the he him joke. I think that was a dig at it. Right?
The more they do this, though, the more and more like we get these race swaps. He's like, oh, it's okay because it's like a small race swap, little race swap. I keep wondering, what the hell did Zack Snyder do to get the Watchmen everyone in Watchmen to look exactly like they do in the comic? Like, how many dicks did he have to suck?
Yeah.
What kind of child sacrifices do you have to do to pull off the gargantuan miracle of getting a movie where the characters look like the characters?
Right. And almost 1-1 in so many cases. And you got to remember, though, that was before the dark times, before the woke era. That was probably not that hard thing to do.
Small race swaps before it was so blatantly and obviously agenda driven with the woke ideology happened regularly enough, right? You can go back. And again, Kingpin is a perfect example in the old Daredevil movies. You can go back even further. And like I said, this is me being consistent. There are cases where I'm okay if you get like a really billable actor in the role, like Scarlett Johansson being cast in Ghost in the Shell. I'm like, all right, it goes both ways. And so that's my kind of take on Man at Arms. I'm not saying it's not a red flag, but it's one of those ones where, like I said, okay, I'm still willing to give this a go, basically. But let's take a look at the trailer specifically, and kind of break it down, because even in the opening, like, there's a lot of good stuff in this trailer, and we're going to break it down. We're going to go slowly and break it down, right? So already, it opens with Eternia.
All that stuff that only exists.
Eternia looks freaking great. Like
some legends and bedtime.
Like sci-fi fantasy blend. You see some kind of more sci-fi buildings in the background, and this bird, that's the sorceress, right? Like look at the colors. That's the sorceress.
Yeah, I thought the trailer looked awesome. I liked it a lot. It looked pretty cool. I was looking for woke stuff, in fact.
Right, exactly.
Well, the trailer at the end of the trailer, I was like, "This is awesome! I want to go see it."
I think going into a He-Man movie, you have to accept that it's going to be pretty CG heavy, considering the amount of visual content that's not physical existing in that world. I didn't think they were going to toss them $500 million to make intricate miniature sets and things like that. Is when CGI is just so prevalent and ubiquitous in so many movies.
Mhm.
So I kind of accepted that. It looks a little schlocky to me at times. Maybe another pass with the visuals.
That's good.
Might do
for
it some
He-Man.
good, but
Yeah,
as far as visual go, it looks better than Red Sonja. I'll say that.
Hell yeah.
I like bad lip syncs in those martial arts films. Kind of like that. I kind of want He-Man to look a little slocky.
I mean, I'm a big fan of, sci-fi TV shows from the 80s, of course, Star Trek, Stargate, SG-1, and stuff like that. And so I'm used to ignoring bad visuals for if everything else or most of the stuff hits the nail on the head. I can say, and to me, even though it's clearly CGI, I think it's on the good end of CGI or enjoyable, because what we're seeing here, this Eternia looks great, and look at these matriculations on this castle. It's like, mwah, I
kind of like the D&D movie. The D&D movie had a lot of CGI, but it was also a fun movie.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think they actually played through the campaign and then they made it into the movie.
So okay, and this is like right the very beginning part, and we're seeing like, okay, they're keeping the bird aesthetic with the sorceress, and Eternia is looking good.
Stories.
And then we see Castle Grayskull, and it's like, that looks like it's directly lifted from the cartoon. That is perfect. That is great, right?
Doesn't hurt my feelings.
No, I'd like. Already, this is a good sign. This is like a big nod to He-Man fans saying we are embracing the original aesthetic, right? Full on.
I think the only thing to make this trailer better, if they had like a trailer cinematic version of what's going on, that'd be pretty good to call us all in with the trailer with. What's going on? Pretty good.
That would have been perfect. I feel like there has been some recent failures, like the Snake Eyes film, where I think if enough people in Hollywood kind of get in their head like, hey, if we don't give fans of this what they want right off the bat, they're going to revolt against it. And,
you know what? Like, I actually think the astronomical fail of He-Man Revelations might be the reason why they're being so accurate to the original, cartoon, because there was such backlash and hate for it. And this project was already in the works, I believe. And so I think, but it was in the early stages, and they saw the hate for it. And then they also, so guess what? People don't really know this. Do you know Netflix made a 3D animated remake of He-Man, which is only like, 5 years old. That came out a little after Revelations. You guys,
and it was good. It was better.
It actually wasn't bad, but it was a very different look and design completely from the OG He-Man. He-Man looked too bulky. I didn't like the sword. It was like a paddle, but the actual story wasn't terrible. Okay. But I think it barely got any attention or views because it was so different. And it was also harmed by He-Man Revelations. So that got a lot of attention, and it was absolute dog crap. And so because I think of those two examples, that is why this one, they just, I'm speculating, but I think they just like, look, let's just, if there is still any love for the OG cartoon, let's just embrace it and make it look like the OG to try and get these original fans back like me. And if I like this, right, I'm taking my sons to this. I got 4 boys, right? I would love my boys to be into a good He-Man property. And this could actually have potential to renew the franchise in a new generation if it is good. But there's potential there.
And don't forget, Shad, the live action movie starring Dolph Lundgren in the 80s. I know it's got its defenders. I'm not one of them, okay? That movie was only like 20% of what you actually saw in the cartoon. So much of it took place on Earth. Yes, yep. The guy that plays Skeletor, they kind of did with the best they could with the effects that they had at the time. Never been a big Dolph Lundgren fan, I'm sorry to say. So, like, there was not a lot in that movie that I didn't go see it as a kid. I saw it later as a teen. I'm like, this doesn't look anything like the cartoon that I liked at the time. So, I'm not a defender of that movie, and I think there's some lessons to learn from that film as well. I hope they don't spend too much time on Earth.
Well, I have a nostalgic kind of love and appreciation for it because I did watch it when I was young. And when I was young, anything He-Man, I was like, give me He-Man. I'm still very aware it is not a faithful adaptation at all. There was a lot of things that was let down with it. And and they were quite clear that they didn't like the original design. They redesigned everything basically, from He-Man to the
Okay, well, we don't care what you like.
Exactly. All right, and it felt like they didn't embrace the source material. Where this one looks like it is like I said, Castle friggin' Grayskull looks awesome.
Talking tigers, spaceships.
I mean, that looks awesome. That is just sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, you never really got a good view of what Eternia looked like, or like an extended, kind of view of where it was in relation to anything else. Like, you didn't have that. Just Eternia was where the good guys lived. And
they didn't have a budget.
I know, but even so, it's nice to kind of have
your point is valid. Parts. Like, we didn't get good detailed looks at Eternia because there was so limited of the time. But the concept behind it, like fantasy, sci-fi, medieval mesh blend, that can look wicked. And that's what they're doing here. They're really capturing onto that concept, that theme, and that's looking good.
And magic swords that can make it.
Okay. The sword. All right. So I have criticisms. Sorry, what?
It looks made out of glass a little bit. I guess like odd.
I'm divided. I love that they are clearly embracing the original design of the sword. This is a very faithful adaptation of the Power Sword, right? I don't like the design of the original because it's such a bad fantasy, poorly weighted. But as a fantasy, look, it's magic. He has super strength. It doesn't need to be a well-balanced, well-made sword for He-Man. He-Man's like just, so it can be this kind of top-heavy, sharpened club. And in that sense, I'm like, all right, I can put my medieval pedantry aside. I actually have a video. I'm already sharing this, but I have a video where I redesign He-Man sword. But putting that aside, okay, even the design that I think you could go with, this is so faithful to the Power Sword of the cartoon that I'm still props. I'm giving credit. And I like the shiny kind of look that they gave to it. It should look a bit ethereal, magical, crystal-like even. And they're pulling that off. That's like, okay.
I do like the subtle hints of rainbows everywhere. I like the fact that they're kind of embracing the homoeroticism that
No, don't give him that. Don't give him that homoeroticism stuff, Dev. It is power. It is young boy power fantasy wanting to be just a ripped Chad. Don't let them appropriate He-Man.
Nothing says masculine like a little bit of homoeroticism. It's a little bit. A healthy dose.
A healthy dose. Well, at least it doesn't go full like what's that anime that is like really
how come you can watch this, Shad, but you can't watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventures?
Exactly, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. That does not go as far as JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, right? This He-Man is like a perfect balance right there. It pushes it a bit, I'll admit, but it doesn't go overboard.
Right? JoJo's not nearly as gay as this.
No, not even close. JoJo's way more gay than this. No, there's no contest.
Man as mighty as a god.
Playing with the boys.
Where I come from, that stuff is real.
All right, so there's debate and discussion about the fact that it was sent to Earth, and we'll see a bit more of that. Because there he is on Earth.
It's like a kind of classic story. The guy, it's like a reverse isekai. The guy goes to our world for safety, then he goes back, because I think the original He-Man was kind of like everyone was from Earth.
His mother was an astronaut that landed in Eternia.
So
there is a little connective tissue.
Yeah, there is connective tissue. That's the deeper thing where his mother, if you dive into some of the lore, is from Earth. Okay. And so there's not only precedent for this, I think it can work because He-Man was made before She-Ra. She-Ra was tacked on after, and She-Ra is He-Man's twin sister, Aurora, or Laura, I forget the name exactly. And she was kidnapped from the cradle at birth by Hordak and Skeletor. Now, that was added on later, and I think it kind of makes some narrative problems. Why didn't Adam ever was told about that his twin sister. You could justify it like, the heartbreak was too much or anything, but still, that's a big event. Everyone knew that there was twins, one disappeared, and it was never mentioned at all, kind of thing, where, okay, what if the war was so bad that both the twins were sent into safety and into hiding? And that actually, I feel, fits narratively better. And that keeps the door open to introduce She-Ra later on perfectly well, that they were both sent into hiding to save their lives. I think, okay, I'm kind of on board. Now, I don't want them to spend too much time on Earth. Okay, let's get through
Same.
that quickly.
Let's get to the action pretty quickly now. That's one pet peeve I have of modern day stuff, where every time they take the reins of something fantastical, they, for some reason, the modern day writers have to go, let's keep them in normal outfits as long as possible. Let's put them in hoodies. I remember, I'll never forgive them for doing the rest of the Harry Potter movies, and they're just in hoodies and jeans and crap for most of the movies, the later ones. Like, where are the robes? You're wizards, damn it. Put on some robes. And then Daredevil kind of like takes forever to get him in the suit. Like, they don't want to put him in suits. They don't want to put him in these outfits. They want to put him in like jeans and trench coats and crap. They get him in there. Right? Launch him right into Eternia. Put him in the outfit.
Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping they'll do. So,
by the way, pause it. Missed opportunity right there to put Battlecat in that logo.
Yes. Come on. Yeah, absolutely. They could have easily put Battlecat there. So, Eternia at war, flashback.
Why did you send me away?
Kind of sci-fi fighting.
I wanted you to be.
And look, I mean, based on the law, right? If the mum is from Earth and she needs to send her children away into hiding, where would she send them? There's precedent to do this narrative.
I do like how the fact that the queen looks like a woman. That's a good bonus.
That's a good bonus. I mean, the
She's not wearing pants.
What is that? Soldiers, they look Eternia-esque, like,
Oh yeah, that's better than Rings of Power.
That's Man of Arm's armor. I mean, Man of Arms had like the armor of Eternia. These guys, this is it. At least
he's the head.
I didn't grow up on the 80s cartoon. I grew up. When the first introduction to He-Man was basically the 2002 remake, which had none of the lore. It didn't have they're from Earth or whatever. But it was awesome. It
was really good. That reboot was actually really decent. I wish that they didn't change the sword that much. I felt they could have kept the sword the same. I didn't like the transformation as well. Like, the OG He-Man transformation is the GOAT. I've never seen anything come even close to it, and I hope they just lift it. And there's signs that they are getting close, but not exact. So I'm like,
you didn't like the magical girl transformation Revelations gave He-Man?
Oh, keep me.
Plus, little nice touch with that He-Man reboot. The voice of He-Man in that was Cam Clark, which if you know, he was the voice of Leonardo, the leader of the Ninja Turtles. So it's like from one hero leader to another. That was I think a nice little touch for that reboot.
I did like that they did some really good things with the reboot, right? And I did like that they made Adam more scrawny and smaller than He-Man, which justified no one being able to wreck it. Because, like, Adam,
that was a criticism of the OG
like
cartoon.
How can you? No one knows He-Man.
At least Clark Kent puts on glasses, Adam. Come on, man.
You better hope no one walks in on Adam with his shirt off. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, right.
Same bowl cut, which I'm gonna say it. The bowl cut is a stupid looking cut. I'm glad they didn't go with it.
Yes, I agree. Just give him kind of long hair. It's close enough, and like, I'm okay with some changes in adaptation when you can really see truly dated things, but embrace the campiness, and they're doing that for the most part. But I do agree, moving away from the bowl cut is an acceptable.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they had to make Prince Adam look like a wuss, and what's better way than to do a bowl cut and pink? That's probably what Brian. In fact, that's probably what Brian went to, the hulking muscle that he still had.
It's still the thing is, like, he's just as jacked as Adam in this as he is as He-Man, and that's one thing where I would have been okay with them buffing up He-Man more. And so we'll talk about that.
I mean, do you guys remember that grocery store commercial with He-Man and Skeletor dancing in a nightclub a few years ago. You've never seen that?
No, I haven't.
I would link it to you, except that it's got copyrighted music on it.
Okay.
But they did like just completely one accurate He-Man and Skeletor in that. It was remarkable. And like the muscles in him they were fake, obviously, but they looked pretty decent. I know real muscles look better, but I also understand. Listen, He-Man kind of came out. This must be said. This came out in the era when bodybuilding kind of became a thing. Yeah, Arnold was the blueprint, and that's absolutely very hard to get to.
He-Man was based off of Conan, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan, basically. Yeah, and so. But we'll get back to it.
So I sent you to a place I knew that they'd never find you. There's
okay.
A white collar job.
I basically on the more I think about it, the more I feel like this is a dig. I'm like, it feels like this is more of a dig at woke culture, which gives signs that maybe the people are a little bit more making this might be a bit more based. Like if they're making fun of this, that could be a positive sign where he is in this oppressive corporate woke, job that he hates and is getting told off by the most, like
look, you talk about that. You talked earlier about that phrase, I have the power. Mm-hmm. What could feel more powerless than being in a white collar job, being bossed around by HR harpies all day? Yeah, and wanting something more and better. I feel like that moment when he does finally say, I have the power, may end up being so cathartic. I would feel good for him.
Yep, exactly.
And he comes back and destroys HR. It'd be pretty awesome.
Oh, please.
There's a clear pun here, okay? He-Man is like a hint, like, is staring at who he is right there in front of him, but he can't see it kind of stuff. And so because of the was like almost double entendre thing, the connection there, I think this actually works. As a bit of.
I feel like this got blown up a little too much on social media. Yeah. Like I think it's clearly a dig at he's He-Man, him. Like it seems pretty obvious to me, but. Man, the red flags in so much media these days are so bad that I don't blame people for knee-jerk reacting to it.
Yeah, I agree. Like we've been burnt so often, and look, like maybe I'm being too optimistic. I'm giving too much charity and being too naive based on the track record of what we get out of Hollywood, which is perfectly valid to lob against me. Right?
They have not yet earned the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. And so, if people are still skeptical, I 100% there. I understand that, but I've also experienced times where the red flags were wrong. It's rare. I wish they would happen more often, but the two big examples where there were big red flags going in, but then the media was actually really good. Dungeons & Dragons film, the Dragon Season 1. Both of them had massive red flags. Both of them had turned out being awesome.
After watching Hedge or Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I tried watching House of the Dragon. I couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't stand, and not because it was bad. I'll tell you why when we get to. But the first one, the Legend Dragons, that was a big one because they were like, oh yeah, we like to emasculate our male characters, and then that alone was like, whoa, wait a minute,
it wasn't even there.
Like not even for woke reasons, like not even they said no, it's not for woke reasons, like knowing that they made a blunder. But no, it was great. It was fantastic. I love that movie.
So the red flag sometimes can be wrong. Maybe I'm being naive, but like there's more to like in this trailer, and there are good signs. This is almost a sign that this could be a dig at woke culture. So we'll just have to wait and see, and we'll let you know when, because I will be reviewing this one. This is on my radar, right?
This obsession with nerd stuff and
like the HR, right? She's being presented as the antagonist taking a dump on nerd culture, right? And she's the pronouns on the make sure
lesbian right? Lady,
right? And so it looks, and she very much looks like a HR,
smug body language.
Yep.
Fitbit
thing.
Yeah. Condescending.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good look for human resources.
It's not a good look. It's just not a good look for the company. All right.
Mhm. And so
I found your sword.
I kind of like that they've made him a nerd, and Adam in the original cartoon was like they presented him as being a bit of a goof, bit of bumbling. The parents didn't take him. He thought like Adam's he's not a serious, young man, and he needs to shape up and take up responsibility. Not knowing his He-Man for like reasons we don't know because it's so obviously who he is. But anyway, they didn't know his He-Man, and so. But the thing is that it seems like they've kind of latched onto that, and yeah, he's a bit of a goof, and you see signs of that. And I like that they've kind of gone down the nerd road with that because this is for nerds, right? And so
I mean, who would be interested in this? It's He-Man. I think Razorfist made this point a while ago. He-Man as a franchise is kind of dead, and dormant. Like it's not still a culturally impactful thing. But I mean, they keep getting it wrong. So, really the old fans are probably the ones that are going to be most interested in this.
Well, yeah, like me. And if it's good, like I said, I'm going to be showing this to my sons, and that has potential to reboot the franchise for a new generation. And I'm not, look, I love He-Man, and so I want that to happen. I want a good He-Man adaptation. I want He-Man to be renewed because of the positive masculinity that's inherent to the character and this franchise. And so, yeah, if we could get a good He-Man, that'll be awesome.
I know it sounds crazy, but that sword is gonna show me the way home.
So I am interested how the sword is there, and so the background, maybe it's the sorceress that's been, seeding the thing in the real world to bring him home. And that would make sense. Sorceress is the one who, shows him the sword.
I wonder if it's even the real sword.
Yeah, see, I don't think it is.
You know what I could see happening? And I'll call it right now. He's going to get that sword in the movie. He's going to go into his backyard. Maybe he lives in an apartment. He's in the city. Go on top of the roof or something. And he's going to go, I have the power, and nothing will happen. And he'll feel goofy about it. And then later on, it gets brought on. I can see that happening. I can see the fake out happening in real time. And
then we'll pan over to like two kids there just staring at him like,
yeah.
And then he'll start explaining the joke for 5 minutes. Perfect.
I hate how right you probably are.
Possibly.
Sir, you can't do that.
Don't worry.
Blue-haired lady.
The sword's mine.
Yeah, blue-haired lady telling you off. But look, he's being a bit of a goof, and that's in line with Adam. I'm like, I think this is fine.
That's Conan the Barbarian right there.
Yeah.
I think that would be perfect for like a little quirky version of the Marvel humor, right? He maybe like pulls out the sword, accidentally beheads her, and goes, womp womp. That just happened.
Whoops.
Smooth move, X-Lax.
Uh-oh. Gray Skull.
That's awesome. This is great.
I'm loving this.
Hold on. Special.
All right, so
where's the red hair? Where's the red hair?
Yeah, Teela is. I'm hoping they don't do Girl Boss with Teela. Now the thing is though, right? Teela canonically is more competent than Adam, but she doesn't hold a torch or even a candle to He-Man. Okay, and so she is it, but I don't want her to do the whole talking down Girl Boss crap. And so
I kind of want she does look like a woman from the waist up at this point.
I gotta tell you, the longer I stare at that face, the uglier she gets.
I do approve of complaining about the pants a lot because I know it upsets people.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good sign there. There's no like, because usually in a Marvel movie or something like that point would be like she would be staring at him, prepared to talk down to him. I can't believe you're like enjoying this or whatever. But it's just like they're enjoying it together. So that seems to me like they're going to be kind of friends, and she's not going to be a bitch. Like
you're right. You're right. So let's hope they go with that, right? So now we see Teela, Man at Arms, Cringer, and I forget the name of that one, the character there.
Yeah, I was wondering who is that all the way on the left? Is that supposed to be Manny Faces or?
That's Bravado, I think.
You got
Bravado?
So listen, when I was a He-Man fan, I was concerned with He-Man and Skeletor and like the immediate orbit. The farther out you get with the side characters, the less interested I was.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
that looks like it's Roboto.
I
And look,
be
especially with his hand there. That's a good adaptation. They're working with some of the original design and lifting it. That's good. That works.
I kind of want everyone to be excited about this movie. We go to the theater, and Roboto is Jack Black.
Well, no, they wouldn't do that and not put him in the credits and specifically say it was him. Like that dude, I don't know what it is about his contract. If Jack Black's in something, they're putting him front and center.
Also, if he was Roboto, the Roboto probably would be fat. I would have made him fat.
Cringer looks too confident there. Like Cringer should always be
cowering and hunched over.
Cowering and hunched over. Yeah.
If he's in his Cringer mode, not Battle Cat, yeah.
Okay, I see Roboto. I see him.
Yeah.
I don't even remember this character.
Man at Arms, you can see some clear references to his original design, but it's not embracing it completely. And so it's like, and then Teela's outfit is like they've got the collar, and that's basically it. They've completely moved away from Teela's leotard. So it's like, and even the 2000 remake, they gave her a skirt. They still kept it feminine. So, yeah. Grayskull again.
That's a good shot.
What if Cringer talks in this movie? And
he better talk.
And then Cringer's voiced by Seth Rogen.
Don't try and ruin it. Stop it.
Adam tells a joke, and then Cringer's like,
So I'm not a huge fan of the music, but there is one hint of hope at the very, very end. So,
this is just generic trailer music.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Oh, that's a better shot of Cringer. There we go. Cringer's looking a bit like cowardly there. He's hunching. That's better. Woo! So
Star Wars.
Younger Man at Arms, I'm guessing, or Rebel Man at Arms,
or Old Finn.
In the battle, yeah.
I like that. Just based on kind of some of the spaceship designs we're seeing, they're embracing because you remember the vehicle designs from the He-Man toy line. They were goofy as all get out, and it's nice to see that kind of reflected some. It's like, this is fantasy. We don't have to come up with something that everything looks like an electric shaver with wings or something like that. Go a little nuts with the design choices for the ships and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
One of us.
All right. So look, it's got a big mustache, It's like, okay.
Where's it? There's too much shadow. I can't see his face.
Hold on. They made the helmet like it's funny. The helmets in the other soldiers looked more Man at Arms than his helmet here.
It does, yeah. Also, shout out to right there over his shoulder, the sorcerer from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. No, not the sorcerer. The guy guarding the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What is your favorite color?
Warlock. I think it's the Warlock.
Supposed to do.
Okay.
Yeah, Skeletor. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I wish the red was a little bit bigger and less beady looking, but still, that's good.
That is really
because you can't tell it's Jared Leto.
What? Well, this. Okay, so they are going 100% full Skeletor. Great. The question is, though, his voice. Will they do the Skeletor voice?
They better. I mean, that'd be awesome. I mean, it's iconic voice. Come on, He-Man. Come on, He-Man.
It's weird. It's really high pitched. Like, He-Man, we shall get you.
I don't like to be good. I like to be evil.
He has classic villain voice. It's great.
I kind of want them to do it. Having said that, though, Skeletor's voice never really matched his design. Let's be honest. Like a more villainous, deeper voice, more menacing, would actually work better with Skeletor. So I could go either way. Part of me just wants them to do the old voice with the nostalgia and camp of it, and I kind of would then celebrate that they're just embracing it so much. But having said that, though, this is one of those things that could be objectively improved.
What if they begin with the voice like "Hello, He-Man," and he goes to his regular voice?
Yeah, it's like
there was something in my throat, He-Man.
But maybe look. It depends how much humor they're willing to inject into it, because it'll be kind of funny if he has this deep, menacing voice, but when he laughs, it's like his voice breaks and he comes out like, and everyone looks at him and it's like,
"What the hell?
What? What are you
like?" There's something you could do there.
Take the sword. Had a great voice. His voice matched his design perfectly. Mum-Ra from Thundercats.
Oh, Mum-Ra's great. The Thundercats I know. Thundercats, I really like the original series.
Well, hey, if this does well, they would do a Thundercats.
And then Thundercats He-Man crossover would be perfect.
Oh, dude.
Be still my 80s kid heart.
They did another crossover with it was like, I think it was like Thundercats and something else they did a crossover with, and it was really cool. I'll check it out. I have the comic. I just forgot what it was.
I mean, they're working on a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie, right?
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I forget all the names of the side characters. Yeah, I forget the name of the side characters.
Fisto.
Isn't Fisto supposed to be Man-at-Arm's brother?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
You protect them.
Hey, okay. So that's when he goes. All right, they need to do it properly. People think that the first word is "I have the power." It's not. It's not. It's by the power of Grayskull. And well, look, okay. It depends, because sometimes he does it as by the power of Grayskull, he lifts it, right? I want that. I want the whole thing. And then, power.
The power. By the way, I found it. The Thundercats crossover I was thinking of was a He-Man Thundercats crossover comic they made in.
Oh, really?
So it exists. Well, they just made that into a movie. It'd be pretty awesome.
In the original, He-Man doesn't actually say, like, from memory, I have the power when he's holding it. It's like by the power of Grayskull. Then he holds it in two hands and he pulls it towards himself and he goes, "I have the power," like that. I want the original, but it seems like they're doing the "I have the power" with the rays. And like, I'm okay.
You know, the delivery of that line, I always recall in other adaptations, never had quite the same resonance or power as the original delivery of the original cartoon. It's kind of like the original Tarzan yell, or
yes.
What's another one? I'm trying to think of. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Just line deliveries that do not have quite the same resonance when they're copied by other actors later on. Like, I know Tarzan's yodel was done by a classic actor. Gosh, what is his name?
No, you are
in the Tarzan movie, right. The Disney's Tarzan. They got another actor to do the yodel because the actor voicing him couldn't do it. And I can't believe I can't remember this, but yeah, it still just does not sound quite the same.
No, you're 100% right. They did this kind of weird vocalization vibration to it, which gave it such an epic resonance. And no joke, you're gonna listen. This is the original, and because of it, nothing comes close. Like, listen to even the opening; it has this resonance to it.
By the power of Grayskull.
It just feels like he's echoing through eternity with it. And then the follow-up with the music, He-Man, this thing, like, it still gives me goosebumps. I got so high on this as a kid.
By the power of Grayskull.
And then the music comes in with the lightning. Listen to this. Dude, it's so good. He-Man.
Brian Blessed, yes, that's who it was. Thank you.
Yeah, and so that's where he does it. He holds it like this, and his voice, when he says, "I have the power," the resonance feels like it's echoing through time and eternity. It's so good. And it doesn't feel like they're doing that. It feels like it's just a regular voice calling out loud. And it's like, it's not going to come close to this. This is just peak. This is so peak, man.
Oh, the other thing I was thinking of, the original over 9,000 delivery in the original cut of Dragon Ball Z. None of the other voice actors or redubs that were done after that ever came close to that delivery. It's over 9,000. Like they actually toned it down because they didn't want to be memed as well. But it kind of lost. If you were watching that Dragon Ball when it was originally airing, like that was a mic drop moment, and the delivery was perfect for it, even though it became a meme later on.
Now, there are a couple things to note. Look at this original transformation, right? See the lightning coming in at the sword and everything like that? They duplicate this in the trailer. And so visually, it looks bang on. But I'm just worried that they're not going to have the music and kick and voice of the original, because it's so good in the original. I mean, it feels powerful the way that they echoed it, right? It needs to echo.
That's the good
Music. I got so high on this as a kid. This is like, it's empowering, it's triumphant, it's uplifting, it's powerful. This is like so much of US popularity, I reckon, is just based on how awesome this friggin' transformation is. I replayed this as a kid so much, right? Because it is so awesome. I want it adapted properly, but we'll have to see, because they do some things and other things. It's close, but it's not exactly.
Have you seen the previews for the video game, the side-scrolling beat 'em up that they're going to be doing for Masters of the Universe?
No, I haven't.
No. Oh shoot! Okay. I'll link that to you.
Yeah.
You can watch that later if you want.
Yeah. So all right. Yeah, he's raising his sword here. Might be one of the first times. I think that's Trapjaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that looks like a good. That looks like a good Trapjaw, like just from the back even. Oh, Evelyn.
You get they know what they're doing, because they only give you like 2 frames of Evelyn.
Yeah, but that's a very accurate Evelyn. That looks like okay. Now, it's not that Cringer, like Cringer shouldn't be looking so fearsome, because but Battle Cat has their helmet, and so
Battle Cat has armor and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a little confused by this one. A man at armor. Okay. So here is what they show of the transformation. So I'm okay with it. Like it doesn't echo like the original, but look at that lightning coming into the sword with Grayskull in the background. That is the cartoon. They are. Oh, yes. So it looks really good. If it doesn't have the echo though behind the voice and the music, it might not even reach the height of the original, but it still looks damn good. And let's watch it again. I have the power! All right, so it's like, I'm 100% needs more reverb, needs more echo, but it still looked good. And then we see him in his He-Man thing, and this is where some people like, he doesn't look jacked enough to be here. Oh, here's the thing, right? If you look at the He-Man cartoon, he's buff, but he's not super buff in the original. They made him bigger in the 2000 adaptation, and even in later things. And in comic books, he's really ripped. And so I'm on the fence. I would have liked to him if they gave him some prosthetic muscles, but would that looked good? But I would have liked him having some more bulging muscles.
They should put him through the Spartan, the 300 training.
Yeah, 300 training. I mean, like,
still cool.
It was a spin, but it was cool. I liked it. And something else, right? I think they're making this kid friendly. He's not like slashing people in half.
It's no blood.
Hitting them with power and just knocking them back.
Starving.
What you call fantasy violence.
Yeah, also, what is kind of funny is that he wears more of a skirt than Tila does, though.
Yeah. Showing more skin than Tila too. Hollywood, they're willing to just
Keep
objectifying
homoeroticism,
the men.
Shad. See?
Yeah.
Homoeroticism right
They're
there.
willing to objectify the men, but how dare you even have an attractive looking female wearing something sexy? No, how dare you? How dare you say that? No? Okay, this last thing gives me hope. Listen closely, everyone. This last bit gives me hope. All right, it's not there or to come, but it's the last thing. But that's Snake Mountain. That looks friggin'
the
great.
Snake Man? Oh yeah, the Snake Man. Yeah, they're setting. I guess technically speaking, they have to set the Snake Man because that's where like Skeletor has his base.
Yeah, yeah, that's Skeletor's base right there, Snake Mountain.
Yeah.
And there's Skeletor, like better view. Skeletor looks brilliant.
Hey man,
He
looks good. No,
he looks
can't.
great.
That goes hard.
It
He looks
does.
really cool.
It really does.
He looks
Skeletor is one of the peak villain designs of all time, right? Skeletor's design, no joke, it's up there with Darth Vader. It's that kind of iconic. And so they can do something really good with Skeletor if they adapt him right. Okay. He looks like he looks good enough. And very true.
That's a good look right there. That looks pretty decent.
That looks like a decent He-Man. I would have liked him being even more bulky and buff, but that is still, they are embracing He-Man. Not only did they give him the harness, they have the cross on the harness. Do you know they removed that like in other adaptations because it's potentially problematic. But no, and so this looks good. This looks good. And it was CGI, but I like that was Skeletor going at him. Look at that! Look at that! Just I'm on board. I'm on board. That was
looks
it.
awesome.
That was it. Did you hear that, everyone? Did you hear that? Let's listen carefully. Listen carefully to this. That's the tune. That's the He-Man.
Oh yeah, He-Man.
He-Man.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping they have that music kind of sting in there. And even it's part of the transformation, where by the power of Grayskull, He-Man, and it's part of the music. And so that gives me hope that they might be using some of the original soundtrack as at least the basis to build off of. So there was more to like than dislike in that. And call me naive, but I
want to see more.
Yeah.
I want to be convinced. I want good stuff. I really do. I'm hoping at the very least it can be at least fun slop. I'm okay if it's slop because some stuff is meant to be schlocky slop. Okay.
He-Man kind of is that, but it has that underlining morality and masculinity to it. And so because the original cartoon was goofy, I'm okay if they do goofy slop, but if they need to keep He-Man pure as to what He-Man is. I want Eye of the Power. I want it to be just masculine male power fantasy made to appeal to young boys. Brace all of that. And even if it's goofy and campy, if it's just fun, balls to the walls, young boy action made for, kids, I'm 100% there. I'm 100%.
I feel like if this does kind of well, here's another one I'm going to call. They're going to tease She-Ra in the post-credit scene. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does well, maybe we'll get it. If it doesn't, it might have the unfortunate. It might end up being good, but not do well at the box office, kind of like Transformers 1 did. Which, wow!
So He-Man is getting more attention than Mandalorian and Grogu.
No one who watches that anymore.
Not a high bar to pass, admittedly. Okay, but if this is good, I could see it doing actually all right. I'm not saying $1 billion, but it depends what the budget is. Because if they didn't go crazy with the budget, this could reach 500 million to 700 million. If it's, I think we'll have to see. And if they kept the budget under control, that could still be considered a success, even 500 million. It depends what that budget is. But if it's good, it might get more traction than people realize, because people, guess what? I still think there is a lot of nostalgic appreciation for He-Man. Like me, I still love it. And if you give me good He-Man, I'm not dead yet, right? And there's potential for me to bring this to my own sons, and that could reinvigorate it.
I had to double check, make sure Doomsday wasn't coming out in the same month as this, because it'll be cooked if that were the case. Doomsday's not coming out till December.
Okay.
Here's where I think the perfect ending for He-Man. You end it, and then here comes She-Ra at the end, right? Tease it at the end, and she comes stumbling in drunk, and she has like a long coat, and then boom, Supergirl opens up, and she's drinking with She-Ra.
Yeah,
perfect crossover setup.
Perfect crossover.
Not bad. I will say this, Shad. Last thing I want to say on He-Man, if this is where we're going to end off at it. I don't have a problem with Jared Leto. I think he has a problem with, unfortunately, being cast in really, really bad movies to where it's kind of become, he's a red flag himself. And I don't want this to become a curse with this guy, but I think it does need to be pointed out that we're at a point where Jared Leto being as something is starting to be indicative of the kiss of death. So I'm hoping he nails this. I'm hoping this is one of the ones where he goes out of his way, because the guy tries really hard.
He does
with his roles. I just think he's had the misfortune of being cast in some absolutely god awful stinkers. So let's hope maybe this is the one that breaks the mold and doesn't conform to the rest of his movie career. And if that's the case, I want to see it, Jared. I don't think you're a bad actor, because God, he goes so far into his roles to try and nail it, and it just doesn't work out for him. Maybe this will be the one. Who knows? But maybe the fact that we can't see that it's him might help.
That could break the curse.
Voice.
It's the fact that they put a mask on him.
I think Jared Leto's one of his best roles is being hacked to death in American Psycho.
Huh.
Oh, well, those are our thoughts on He-Man. We'll have to wait and see. Just wait and see. And if it's good, I will let you know, because I'm keeping watch on this one. That's for sure. All right. Time to pivot and talk about another show that's currently out, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Okay. Second episode was just out yesterday. And so far, holy crap, it's really good.
It's really good.
Really
very
good.
refreshing. It does live up to the idea that it kind of just crapped all over Game of Thrones, because in this one it's a lot more hopeful. It's a fun story to see him to watch happen and unfold.
And not only is it more hopeful, there's an underlining kind of line of humor and lightness to it, with Dunk just being just earnest and sincere, but also making mistakes, like actually going the wrong way and knocking his head into things. And the interactions between Dunk and Egg are just gold. Perfect.
And they're really good. They're well balanced too, because usually I kind of like, I've gotten used to modern day interactions with, from woke stuff, where they're kind of like everyone has to write Always Sunny, like they all hate each other. And they're constantly just demeaning each other. Like, for example, there's one interaction in the second episode where it's after Dunk has spoken with what's her name? Something what's her name? Something too tall. The girl.
I forget her name, like Talon or something.
It's like something too tall. And then later on, he's like just drinking some ale or something. He's like, was that ill handled? And I was expecting Egg to say something like really mean, like, oh, you're an idiot, you're a fool, you're hopeless, or something like that. But no, he didn't. He's like, well, she's painting your shield.
Yeah,
I paid her. It's like,
yeah.
Well, but what really made me laugh was like, you're both gigantic. That's a commonality.
I love it. That scene was actually probably one of my favorite scenes in the second episode, when Egg is also like, "Do you think I'll ever be a knight?" And Doug's, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Yeah, he supports him.
But I'm very scrawny.
Yeah.
And then Doug is like,
call me stupid.
You'll grow. Oh, but everyone. I'm still scrawny for my age. Everyone used to call me stupid.
And that's it.
Egg's like,
And
and then and Dunk just was like, well, it's none of your business. And it's just like, what
instead of you, like, he gets angry, and then like that scene was so on point that I think the actor, the one that plays Egg, didn't know that would be the response because he looked legitimately confused. Like, what?
It was great, because Egg's expecting like some, positive message about, you can
Profound.
overcome that.
Like here comes a story from my background of how I proved that wasn't actually stupid, or I overcame that obstacle. Nope, he's just like, it's none of your business.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Dunk believes he is stupid, and is actually like, he is naive, slow in the uptake, but he's also good-hearted. But everyone is like, and in the graphic novel and book, he always, tells himself, Dunk the lunk, thick as a castle wall. He doesn't think he is the brightest guy. And so he's a bit down on himself on that. And he didn't really want to admit that. It's like, yeah, I think I am stupid kind of thing. So interactions like that really lift this show a lot. Dunk and Egg are a genuine joy to just watch. And
they like each
Egg
other,
was
which is very refreshing. They like each other.
Egg was the standout for me in episode 2. Now, I should preface before we go any further, if people are interested in picking it up, there is content warning. Okay,
like the opening of the second episode. I was not expecting that opening. I was kind of caught off guard.
We'll come back to that, but there's your warning. There's content warning that we'll discuss a bit further later on. Now, let me get back to Egg. He was the standout of episode 2 by far. Like, he's done perfectly on so many levels. He's very clever, very perceptive, and especially for his age. Yet the thing is, they captured his age still. He's still a young boy that loves knighthood, fighting, lances, combat, all that stuff. And he gets into the jousting completely, and he loves to play soldier, play knight, get like a stick and pretend he's a soldier and everything like that, as little boys do. And so he is not like this, adult in a kid's body who is always correcting and showing, everyone around being stupid.
He's not Princess Leia. Yeah.
No, not at all. Like he is still a young boy. And what I love about it, he looks up to Dunk, and he has a high opinion of Duncan than
Very
Dunk
high
has
opinion.
himself.
Yeah, it was refreshing. It was like he actually does like Dunk and respects him, and it's not like they're of course. Everyone knows. I mean, it's clear from the get-go that he's more than he appears to be. Like the Egg is more than he appears to be. And so, but it's not like he doesn't know what his lineage is. It's not like he's an orphan or something like that. He knows, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure he knows that, yeah, I'm from this house. So, but still, even knowing that he knows all the knights, all the people, he knows that he's of a higher status. He looks up to Dunk. Like, he's like, Dunk is his hero.
Yeah,
it shows.
I love that about it. And at the beginning of episode 2, where he's like, why are you, I forget what he says, bowing down to all these royal lapdogs when you can just tell them to go jump, basically. And that was Egg saying that he has a higher opinion of Dunk than all these royal snobs. And I think it comes down because Egg, he sees actual chivalric virtue in Dunk that he admires. And as a result, Egg looks up to Dunk in higher esteem than all these rich lords. So much so that is desperate to be his squire and continue being his squire after the tourney even. And so that dynamic is just really wholesome. And this is where I get to a bit of an annoyance in the show. This show is wholesome and great, which is why I'm frustrated with the overly mature aspects of it, like the full frontal nudity we get in the beginning of episode 2, when this could have been
the 12-inch dick of the old man,
a giant schlong prosthetic that they have him just flap around in your face.
Like other men, Shad. Okay, he was not like other men.
Oh my!
I feel like HBO feels if they don't have unnecessary nudity in it, is it really Game of Thrones?
It feels like that. Where this could have been like this is perfectly age appropriate. Look, there's some some blood in it and stuff, but it is still age appropriate for young men. Okay, this show is not now. The adaptation of the show is not by a long, because they have full frontal nudity. They had nudity in the first episode. It was a little kind of not as explicit. There was a woman lying on a table and they were like covering her in a cloth or something like that. All of those were just completely unneeded. It wasn't in. It's not needed in the graphic novel. It's not there in the graphic novel. It wasn't needed in the show. And as a result, you're locking off a brilliant, really wholesome story from a whole demographic of young men that could have not only enjoyed the show. There's positive messages about masculinity in this thing that could have been really good.
And because Dunk is a rags to riches story.
It is
very,
underdog.
It's a very manly tale, right? Rags to riches stories, very manly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Some really core themes of virtue and stepping up and doing the right thing no matter where you're from. You can still become a good person and stand up for what is right and even achieve great things, right? These are some really core traditional storytelling and values in the Hedge Knight, which is why I fell in love with the story originally. It's one of the better boy become knight stories that you can find. Some of my favorite. My next book is around that theme completely. A young man wanting to become a knight, because at its core, that's the concept of a young man wanting to become a virtuous man, because a knight in its romantic sense is a man who has virtues, like he follows a code and he appeals to a higher morality for the sake of honor, right? That's really good. That's a really good theme.
Yeah, and that's why I really enjoyed the ending of episode 2, where he at first I was going to think okay, here we go. He loses, faith in his hero, which was Arlen of Pennytree. Oh, come on, Egg. Do great knights die on the side of the road in the mud? No. He went 60 years without ever becoming champion. I thought it was okay, he's losing faith. Here we go. But no, it was the opposite. It was him going, I am his only legacy. So I want to prove that he was correct. Basically, he was I want him to know that he made the right choice choosing me, and that he didn't waste his time. And as his only legacy, I want to make it worth something. I was like, wow, okay,
Isn't that great? That's really good, right? And that was what lifts this show above the schlop that we have in the modern day. This actually has appeals to true virtue and heroism. It has the core kind of heroes story themes to it that's underpinning this narrative, and that's what we've been missing for so long. If you know anything about this story, right, there is a very important damsel in distress kind of moment that they cannot get rid of, right? That is a very important part in the story, and therefore it'll embrace that as well. Classic heroism, men protecting women, stuff that the woke agenda despises, and why we haven't seen it for so long. This is one of those shows rare that is actually going to celebrate traditional themes of heroism. And it's already showing that it is embracing that just by these last 2 episodes. And on top of that, brilliantly written, really enjoyable. Is it a bit short? Yeah, the episodes are too short in my mind. In actual fact, once they're all out, it'll be a 3-hour movie. This is basically a 3-hour movie that should be watched as one, though for the viewing experience, that'll be the more enjoyable way to consume it. But the way that they're releasing it is the better option for building momentum and interest and getting people on board. Word of mouth is already spreading. People are praising these last 2 episodes, saying, okay, you should start to be paying attention to Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And as a result, it's building, which it wouldn't have been able to do that if they just dropped it all as one.
I do like how Baratheon is kind of like Dunk's big brother, essentially, just teasing him and just come on, let's go do a tug of war, which is I thought was going to end up with being like something horrible happening to somebody or some big thing happening where someone gets killed or there's a twist or something. But no, it's just a fun tug of war game where they win.
Yep.
And Baratheon's being an idiot. He's like, I'll be right back. I'm thirsty.
I'm surprised how much. Yeah, I'm surprised how much I'm liking Lionel Baratheon, I believe the character's name is. He came off menacing, but at the first episode, but then he kind of realized he's just kind of messing with him because he finds it's fun, and then he feels that he also finds his kind of appeal with Dunk being so damn large, and like the character has ended up being probably third running after Dunk and Egg. I do like Baratheon quite a bit. He's very fun in this game. Or this
this show. But thing is, here's the thing. I also was surprised in the second episode where he's like, accidentally coming in on the Targaryens. They're talking about how the princes have gone astray and everything, and then they're like, "Well, who are you, spy?" Like, oh crap, how does he get out of this one? And I was like, because I thought the Targaryens they're like the royal family, and the brother, I thought they're going to try to behead Duncan, or he's getting in big trouble. But no, the brother is like, you know what, you're cool. You can go ahead and play in the games. You can go ahead and participate. I was like, whoa, this kindness and generosity from the Targaryens,
a decent Targaryen.
This is pretty cool. I like there's some actually decent people in this world, some kindness, some generosity. They know that this guy's just a genuine heart, and they kind of react to that. They kind of see his genuine. I guess it's refreshing to them because Baratheon and Targaryen, they live in this the Game of Thrones. They live the Game of Thrones, and to see someone like Dunk who's just like kind of a little bit of oafish. A friend of mine called him like more like a himbo than an oaf, but like he's just a genuine guy who just wants to do the best he can so he can live decently, and that's it. I think they kind of resonate with that. That's what it feels like. And like, you know what? I'm going to help you. Even the blacksmith is like, you know what? I'll give you a little break.
Isn't that good? Like this is why this story stands apart from regular Game of Thrones, where Game of Thrones, like, it really shows, you have to be conniving and duplicitous to even succeed in many cases. And there are good people, and they stand out well. I like that's one of the things that I do like about the dark nature of the Game of Thrones world, is that when they do have noble people, they stand out, and there's good, kind of thematic impact as a result of that. And so I felt that with Viserys in House of the Dragon. I think it's worth watching season 1, Lit Dev. Like, the story of Viserys is actually really good, and is one of the few good people. He makes mistakes, big mistakes, but he's one of the few good people. And Eddard Stark, of course, stood out. He was one of the few good people. And you kind of see that in this one in Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but the actual story is more focused on that. It's a more traditional story of rags to riches, heroism, and things where oftentimes the good people get, just because of their naivety, they get killed or they end last, or there's always subversion baked into a lot of George's other writings, where this one is like, oh, a good guy actually comes out on top and gets ahead by being good, and there's something decent about it, which always made Hedge Knight feel different from George's other works, and better in my mind. It's my favorite kind.
The reason I tried watching House of Dragon, and I watched the first couple episodes. I'm like, okay, this is like more Game of Thrones. I felt like more Game of Thrones, and I was. It wasn't because it was bad. It was because I was kind of fatigued of more bad crap happening, more bad crap. Yeah. Okay, well, because it begins with the king losing both his wife and his child. I was like, oh, come on. This is fine for, like, if I would, I'm not in the mood for this because I just watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is very, like, cool and hopeful and everything. And then I get the bleak, dark Game of Thrones world.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I'm not ready for this.
That's exactly what I mean. You kind of hit the nail on the head, and it's interesting that affected you as a viewer even stronger, because in the other Game of Thrones properties, it's all often imperfect people doing crappy things and fighting each other, and that can be engaging and dynamic, but it's not uplifting. It doesn't, like, and if you know anything about the House of the Dragon storyline, it doesn't end in peace. Let's just say that, okay?
I didn't think so.
But this one is different, and as a result, I love it more, and they're embracing it. This adaptation is top tier. They've improved in a lot of aspects from other Game of Thrones media. The armor and medieval aesthetic is a lot better. It's not perfect. I can point out your criticisms, but it is improved. It's a lot better. I'm immersed as that sword is just it's basically a historic longsword that Dunk has. It's worn, weathered, but that is 100% historic longsword that he uses. They have correct terms for the horses, like palfrey, and they'll refer to destrier, I'm sure, and other things like that. And like, the jousting is one of the better adaptations of jousting. Again, not perfect. The armor is improved a lot. And so there's more color, more heraldry, a lot of things to enjoy with this as a medievalist, even more than other Game of Thrones. Well, like Game of Thrones was pretty poor in its medieval adaptation. House of Dragons improved it a lot, and this takes it to another level of excellence, let's call it. Not perfect, but I'm loving that as well. And then you get a great story on top of it with the characters adapted perfect. Like the casting is really, Dunk is like perfectly cast. Perfectly
yeah.
cast.
I started reading the comic books, and yeah, he's like spot on in the show.
Exactly. Same with Egg, man. Like Duncan Egg is just absolutely perfectly.
Egg is like 1 for 1 in the comic.
1 for 1. Egg right there. Like, and again, this is shouting out to Mike's work. Mike, our co-host here, who is the artist of the Hedge Knight graphic novel. And because bringing up Mike, it's probably a good time to also mention that if you're coming in late, Mike had a stroke last week. Is not in a good spot. And so if you're able to donate to the Give, Send, Go fundraiser to help him recover, that would be really appreciated. Or you can go to mikesmillerart.com and get some the original art pages from the graphic novel. Right here, Hedge Knight. You can get original art pages on his website, and that would help him out a heap as well. And then you get some awesome memorabilia, nerd memorabilia on top of that. But genuinely, if that's too much to get the original art, just like $1, $5, anything will help. He's in a tough spot, and it would be really good if everyone could support him. And thank you to everyone who has, by the way. And so thinking of you, Mike, and Mike is taking a bow for his work on the Hedge Knight. You should feel really chuffed about this, man. They are adapting your work very faithfully, dude. Is really, really well done. Like we're saying, Dunk looks exactly like Egg's perfect. There are scenes that feel very inspired. Like they basically had a perfect storyboard to work from in the Hedge Knight. Now, there are some interesting differences in terms of chronology. Some events kind of happen a bit earlier than other events, and they're doing that to kind of flesh it out and expand certain things. There's a scene in episode 1, which is not in the graphic novel or book, where he meets Lionel Baratheon, and I loved that, and that was done really, really well. And to justify it, they had him running, I think it was the Fossways. He ran into the Fossways earlier to justify him going into that. And Mike, he loved it. He was able to see it, man. I want to talk to Mike about this, but Mike, you need to recover, dude. Don't push yourself too much, right? But when you are recovered, I cannot wait to talk about Night of the Seven Kingdoms with you, man. And so this has got me 100% on board. I am hooked. I will be watching every single episode as it comes out and then doing a live stream review with Gary on Nerdrotic. And we'll be talking about here on the Culture Crusade as well, following up from that.
I know I will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, there's just so many good things to kind of comment on. I have my notes even here.
I like the fact that the humor is organic and not cringy millennial dialogue and humor.
My gosh, yes.
It's not. There's no like, well, maybe your arm is in Valhalla crap. It's like this. It feels organic. All the comedy is character driven. There's no point where they kind of have to stop the show so we can have the comedy part. Time to have like that just happened moments.
Yeah, right.
And then they would explain the joke or be awkward for like 10 minutes. No, it's all organic.
It's comedy through genuine interaction and the characters sometimes talking past each other, or it was great. And especially like Egg, where it's like if you take my horses, I'll chase you down with dogs. You don't have any dogs. I'll find dogs. Where?
He just barks at him. That's like two brothers bickering.
Yes. I loved it. Those moments were genuinely great. In this episode, so there's a couple of things that they're doing interesting with the adaptation. So it seems less ambiguous if Dunk was knighted or not by Sir Ireland Pennytree. Because they have flashbacks where Dunk says that, he was intending to knight him, and then has a flashback where he asks Ireland if he does, and Ireland is just eating an apple and just spits and doesn't answer. And that seems to imply that Sir Ireland didn't really care, probably didn't. There's still a little bit of ambiguity, but if you were to make a judgment on what the show presents, there's more evidence to say that he did not. Now, I don't necessarily think that sullies the story. We talked a little bit about that last episode, I think. And so you could check out last episode. I think, the fact that Dunk probably might believe that he was intending to knight him, and so he's not really living a lie by saying that it's knighted in that case. But what we got in this episode was some more positive flashbacks between him and Ireland, that Ireland just wasn't a jerk that Dunk has more positive kind of memories of. No, there was some genuine kindness, and Ireland did raise Dunk, and so that kind of redeemed Ireland a bit, which I was glad that they showed. I didn't need to see his giant, massive schlong.
He was not like other men, Chad.
He was not like other men. Ireland penny tree, almost like Ireland penis tree. Biggest friggin' tree.
That's where the tree part came from.
That's where the tree part. Yeah, exactly. Holy.
And then they followed up with the line and said, "Oh, he left no children behind." Like, are you sure?
Yeah, sure. I was joking about this on the live stream, saying that that's why he didn't win any champions, any jousts. Probably won joust, but he never was a champion.
He was off balance.
Yeah, he couldn't sit in the saddle right because there was a friggin' tree trunk in the way. Oh my gosh.
They didn't let him use his real weapon.
Yeah, if he used his real lance, he could have been. And yeah, I also think it contradicts a little bit with the narrative that they're trying to say that no one remembers him when I think he would be using that asset to be famous across everywhere.
Pretty memorable at that point.
Exactly. Every single woman that he got hooked up with would be talking about Sir Ireland Pennytree for the rest of their days. Holy crap.
Every era's got a Podrick.
All right. All right. Yeah, but other than that, I reckon they could have cut that, and the other flashbacks with Ireland were actually good. I felt it was needed, and it helped with the story, showing us that relationship between them. And then there were other good moments, like when Dunk sells the horse because he needs money. That was acted perfectly. There was actually good emotional weight to it. And you saw that this was a big sacrifice. And these are the type of things that endears you to a character a lot, because sometimes it's hard for people to empathize with stakes that we have no point of reference. Like the world is at stake and everyone's going to die. And it's kind of hard to wrap our head around such crazy things like that. But small stakes that we understand, like it's a normal guy risking everything he owns to make a living for himself and to potentially obtain some glory even by living up to the virtues of what a real knight is. That's a story that I think a lot of people can resonate with. The underdog story, and especially willing to sacrifice something that is really dear to him. He loves these horses. He's talking to them constantly, and he has to sell one of them to get money for armor. And then the emotional weight that they showed and the acting, brilliant. Really, really good. And so there are other moments like that in the show that lift it really well. The glimpses that we saw of the jousting looks pretty good. Look, it's fantastic, cool. They do some things that be very hard to pull off. In like one guy gets dehorsed and then just jumps back on while it's riding and things like that.
That was awesome.
Look, that was awesome.
Shield back and stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. Very difficult to do in real life. That's a bit unrealistic, but I'm happy to just get on board with it because that's awesome. And to see some really like impactful jousting, that's cool. That's cool. And so next episode I think is going to be big. This is the next episode is where the inciting incident happens. We see some more of the jousting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It's going to be huge, almost as big as Sir Harlan himself.
Yeah. I think this is going to be the best Game of Thrones piece of media made to date. If they keep the quality with the rest of the episodes, 100%. I think this will be the best piece of Game of Thrones media. And you can enjoy it separate to Game of Thrones. It's a kind of like a standalone, self-contained story that you can really enjoy. I read The Hedge Knight before anything else, without any reference to what Game of Thrones was, and I loved it because it's a story that just stands on its own. It doesn't need the greater world for you to appreciate. And damn it, if they just cut that, like overly explicit, nudity in it, this could have been even great for my boys. So that's a bit annoying for me. But other than that, this is one of my favorite pieces of media in recent memory. I enjoyed Landman. This might be better than Landman just because it's medieval and swords, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the rest of the episodes turn out. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, old Lit Dev?
That's most of it. I just really like the character interaction. I like Baratheon. I like the fact that there's actually kindness in here, where people are just, it's not just complete darkness and dour sadness. There's people who actually come like, I'll help you. I mean, it's nothing for me to help you. It's everything to you. Even a Targaryen is like, I'll help you out. Pretty cool. Then we got the mean Targaryen who's like, I guess knightdom has really fallen if you're a knight.
Yeah,
complete jerk, coming in there, and it's good stuff. And it's just, and I like the fact that Duncan the Tall is just fantastic. He's just a good-hearted guy. He just wants to be a good guy and do the right thing, and ultimately kind of become a worthy legacy of Sir Arlen of Pennytree. Those are like just noble factors for him to aspire to, and there's just so much there. And also the Baratheon. I said I like him, but there's that moment in episode 1 where he goes like, "Be tall," which is a really big moment, I think, because at first he's like, "Is that why you've been slouching so time so you don't get punched?" He's like, I don't slouch. Yeah, you do. And that's a thing that a lot of men have to deal with universally, is confidence. Dunk has no confidence. He is very down on himself. He's confident that, maybe I could probably win here. I'm big and strong. But personally, between people and everyone else, he has no confidence until Baratheon goes, "Be tall, or I shall burn you as a heretic." Just embrace the gifts that you have. It's okay to be awesome. It's okay to be manly.
That's a good message that you've latched onto there. Exactly. It's okay to be manly. It's good to embrace your strength and see it as a virtue, not something that people should be afraid of, and that could be something that other people will aspire to. Embrace your strength and be tall. Yeah,
be tall. And I like how he didn't do it in like some like wimpy Saturday morning cartoon way, where he's just trying to be nice to him, like, "Be tall, or I'm going to kill you." Like, he's personally offended that he's not embracing his gifts.
Yeah, he's a good character, man. All righty, so let's get to the super chats, and then we'll start to wrap up.
The main thing I hate about the Knights of the Seven Kingdoms, though, is that it's a weekly show, and then I have to wait another week for the next episode.
Like,
and they're
episode
short.
1 and 2 should have been just a single, hour episode, and honestly I think it would have been more satisfying, but they really want to stretch that out, and it's working. It's the word of mouth is building, so I can't fault them on that. This is an effective strategy. It's just a bit annoying as a viewer. Random unbreaded commenter for $5 says, "My stepdad passed away a few years back from a blood clot post-stroke in hospital. Damn. Found out from mum how he got that stroke, and therapy. So thinking of you, Mike. Thinking of you, man. Hope you recover soon." And so again, random unbreaded commenter for $5 says, "95% sure my therapist sent my mother a Christmas card after that for keeping her so keeping her so gainfully employed. Here's hoping Mike has a swift recovery." Yes. And Nathan Cassidy, how are you, mate? 499 says, "If they wanted that he/him thing to be a joke, it should have been he/man, a corny, low effort joke, but it would have gone over way better potentially." But then, is that kind of saying where
it doesn't really work in the pronoun game, I don't think.
No, and
nobody puts he in man, right? Like,
also he in the original lore is actually an Eternian old word that means power. It actually doesn't. It isn't a pronoun, and so he/man actually translates to power man. His sword, which is called the Sword of Power, it's also it's the Sword of He. The Sword of He means sword of power, and so He-Man literally is Power Man, and that's the origin of his name. And I hope they remain true to that. And maybe they can give a bit of a joke where it's like, "You're He-Man," and he might make what like he/him is like no he means power. I hope they actually do that in this movie.
That's a little too based for Hollywood, actually.
Yeah,
To openly say he means power. Oh man, they'd be crucified by the feminists.
Isn't that is based though? That power.
I actually never knew that.
Didn't you? Yeah, a power being associated with the male pronoun he. You know, it's like.
So Arlen was very powerful. He's one of the most powerful knights in all the realms. His sword was enormous.
It really was. But thank you for the super chat, Nathan. And then random unbranded commentator again for $5 says, here early to see Shad's opinion on our good Sir Penny Knight's generous episode opening display. It was totally 100% plot necessary, right, Shad? No. In actual fact, I think it makes problems in the plot because it's supposed to be unknown. He would have been famous for that thing.
It's very, very like, oh yeah, everyone should be saying like, Sir Arlen. Oh, that was the knight with a gigantic dick.
Yeah, right. Like I reckon his sigil would have been a really fat big lance or something like that,
or like a rooster. It'd be a rooster.
Yeah.
No, it came in with the sign of the cock on his shield.
Exactly.
Yep,
a peacock with a really long neck. You know, is his sigil.
Throbbing, veiny neck.
Yeah, and his name is Sir Arlen Longtree, or Giant.
The Longshanks.
Longshanks. All right. Yeah, it's like that would be his main identifying thing. The Nathan Cassidy for $4.99 says, let's give Prince Adam credit. He ran around with a pink shirt and a mullet, and nobody called him a fairy. That's real masculinity. Yeah. I have heard it said that only real men wear pink. You know, it's a man who is secure in his masculinity. Tea Drinker Gary for €5 or pounds. I get them mixed up. Says, I wonder if they show him pre-Skeletor. He has long hair and beard like Morbius, just with blue skin.
Oh, like his Keldor? Yeah.
Yeah, they might.
Oh, yeah, they did do that in the reboot.
The remake, yeah.
Cool. Showed him how he became Skeletor. They didn't really explain how he, got his face melted off, but still lived with all. But whatever, fantasy, man. Like that's definitely not a place to question that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Nathan Cassidy again says, while I think he's too skinny, I love that Daniel Ings makes Lionel both menacing, yes, yet still fun enough to drink with. Is great in The Gentleman too. He really is, and he plays a very different character in The Gentleman. Like he's a good actor. He gets that menacing kind of just Brathian nature where he is also boisterous and loud and stuff. Excellently done. Gumball fan 1232 for $2 says, do you watch the Chosen series? Now and then. My wife likes to watch the Chosen with the kids, and I've seen it. I haven't dived in to watch the whole thing, but the parts I've seen, I've actually been impressed. It's like they've actually done a good job, because there are moments in the Bible where it doesn't give the context of how it led up to that moment, and the show does a very good job weaving the narrative to lead up to those moments. And I was like, hey, that's actually they do a good job. They do a good job with the Chosen. Thank you for the super chat. And Golden Reaper for 10 says, I'm late for the He-Man, but He-Man looks sus. I know they made fun of the he-him thing, but that can be a camouflage for future. Look, that's possible. Remember, they already race swapped, in which there is a thing, identity theft propaganda. So, yeah, we've talked about that. I'm willing to be cautiously optimistic. So cautiously. I'm not saying there aren't red flags. We just got to wait and see, and I will let you know. But you're perfectly justified in your stance there. Rated M for $1.99 says, Shad, would you check out Night's Dark Tidings on Audible? Possibly. I don't get enough time to listen to heaps of audiobooks, unfortunately. So it's unlikely, but I will try and remember it. Night's Dark Tiding. And so I do get through everything and I see it. Maybe I'll give it a go. Thank you, sir. Taker 610 for $5 says, She-Man, it's ma'am. Once again, it's ma'am, Skeletor. Yeah, I said you guys. She-Man. Right before that, you'd said, Sir Skeletor, he's changed. Oh, I do wonder how they'll do Skeletor. His voice. But thank you, sir. Western Kind 007 for 75 NT says, can we make white positive comics today, or is it considered racist every time we praise white people? I mean, we can, and this whole the white guilt thing and all that stuff. It's like you make what you enjoy, and there's going to be white actors or characters in media that's based on like for instance, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, right? There's a lot of white people there. It's like, well, it's based on medieval Europe, and are there some people with tanned or different colored skin? Yeah, and it's justified in the world setting. And shock horror, it works. That's one thing I was glad that they did with Game of Thrones, where people of different ethnicities actually come from different lands with the predominant ethnicity,
like in real life.
Yeah, shocking. Whereas like a lot of other fantasy bullcrap, Wheel of Time nonsense, even in places that are secluded, and isolated, it's a complete racial mix, like you're in, downtown Manhattan or something like that. And it's like, at least Game of Thrones still has, good justification of the ethnic identities of the people in there. And so we have come to the close of this Culture Crusade. I really did want to talk about these two things. So that was a lot of fun. Appreciate all joining us. Lit Dev, anything you want to mention as we round off?
Not really anything big yet, but I do have the show, my morning nonsense show every morning, a weekday morning around 8:45 a.m. Eastern. Sometimes starts at 9 a.m. Eastern. But usually go over some fun stuff, writing stuff, culture stuff, and love to see you there.
Awesome. John, what you got going on, man?
Not much to show off. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm working like crazy. I finally got through some writing blocks and whatnot to hopefully finish my next book, which I'm hoping to have out early April. And
nice.
All I can say is, hold on. I've got stuff in the pod. I don't know, on the back burner. I just got to work on it, and I've thankfully gotten a little bit more time to write it lately. I appreciate that.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I got to focus on my novel last week, and I got a good bigger chapter done. I still have probably 4 chapters to go, so I'm closing in. But then there's a lot of work to finish this thing off. I don't know. It'll be released this year, I'm confident, but I don't know when, because I'm working on other things to complement it as well. So yeah, but we're both close, man. Keep it up, and you'll get there.
You ever get to a point when you're writing where you kind of feel like you've run out of ways to describe the action that's happening? Like, I've written this particular kind of a sequence over and over again. And it's like, man, it just feels like you kind of run out of words almost.
Yeah, for me, just my kind of way I approach it, I always just focus on the story and do the descriptions are almost bare minimum that is necessary to set the scene, and then in my revision, that's where I try and lift the descriptions and other things up. Because I just get to the focus. I want to get the story out and done. I'm not saying it's the best method, but that's kind of just one of the ways I approach it. But we have now come to the end of this live stream. Thank you, everyone who has joined us. We appreciate you all. We hope to see you next time on the Culture Crusade. And as always, stay on watch.